Man who accidentally killed the most people in history. Bro, what? Veritasium out with the it's gonna be something science related. Imagine being the person responsible for making an entire generation dumber on average. What is this gonna be? Oh no. Oh no. I wanna watch this. Oh, it's muted.
One single scientist created 3 inventions that accidentally caused the deaths of millions of people, including himself. Not only that, they decreased the average intelligence of people all around the world, increased crime rates, and caused 2 completely separate environmental disasters that we are still dealing with today. Part of this video is sponsored by Ren.
I saw ethanol.
More about them at the end of the show.
It's probably gonna be and oil.
In 1944,
Gasoline.
as a young chemist who had just finished his master's, Claire Patterson went to work on the Manhattan young chemist building the first nuclear weapons. His job was to concentrate uranium-235, the fissile fuel for bombs, from the much more common uranium-238. The world's first crankless car was the Cadillac Model 30. It was much more powerful than cars before it. It had a top speed of 45 miles per hour and 40 horsepower, double the Ford Model T. The Model 30...
Imagine having to crank your car every morning. It's freezing cold outside. There's like snow and ice everywhere, and just sitting there, just going away and just cranking over and over again.
It was a huge success for Cadillac, doubling the company's annual sales. But it had a problem. It was deafeningly loud. In internal combustion engines, a piston compresses the fuel-air mixture, which is then ignited by a spark from the spark plug. The expanding hot gases push the piston back down. The problem with the Model 30 engine was it compressed the fuel-air mixture more than previous models. So much, in fact, that often the fuel would spontaneously combust before the spark from the spark plug. So rather than orderly, perfectly timed explosions, you'd get multiple haphazard combustions leading to turbulent pressure waves inside the cylinder. The resulting sound led the problem to become known as engine knocking. Ethanol was an interesting exception. It did stop the knocking, but you needed a lot of it, about 10% of the fuel mixture for it to be effective. That much ethanol would be expensive and hard to turn a profit on. And Midgley was really after an additive that was cheap, easy to produce, and effective even at low concentrations. So he kept trying. Then he hit on tellurium. It worked wonderfully as an anti-knock agent, but it had a terrible smell. You couldn't get rid of it by changing clothes or bathing. His wife was so offended by the stench that he had to sleep in the basement for 7 months.
Wow.
Midgley wrote, I don't think that, although this doubled the fuel economy, humanity would suffer this smell. On December 3rd, 1921, after 5 years of working on the problem, Midgley found what he thought was the perfect solution. Tetraethyl lead. That's a lead atom right there in the center. This additive was exactly what he was looking for. It stopped the knocking, it didn't smell, it was cheap to produce and readily available. Best of all, you only needed 1 part in 1,000 for it to be effective. In a call to Kettering, Midgley said, "Can you imagine how much money we're gonna make with this? We're gonna make $200 million, maybe even more." That is over $3 billion in today's dollars.
Wow.
Now, for his discovery, the American Chemical Society gave him the prestigious Nichols Award, and they asked him to do a series of public talks, but Midgley declined. He and Kettering patented the process for making tetraethyl lead, and they called their new additive ethyl, perhaps so it might be confused with another common additive, ethyl alcohol. They made no mention of lead. Then they teamed up with 3 of America's largest corporations, General Motors, DuPont, and Standard Oil of New Jersey, to form the Ethyl Corporation.
Is that worth
address the public outcry, Midgley held a press conference, and there he poured tetraethyl lead onto his hands, and he inhaled it for a full minute. He claimed he could do this daily without harm. But Midgley knew the dangers. The reason he had turned down the public talks was because he spent much of 1923 in Florida. where he himself was recovering from lead poisoning.
Ah.
He didn't go anywhere near
100%
his
worth
company's
no cap,
product
yeah.
if he could help it. He turned his attention to the oldest rocks in the solar system, meteorites. All the original rocks on Earth had long since been
so this
destroyed by
guy-
tectonic activity.
This guy helped with the making of the nuke. Then he made lead. He combined lead and gasoline, and now he's experimenting with. Or I guess he did the nuke at the end. I'm not sure about the order of these events, but now he's experimenting with meteorites.
But meteorites come from asteroids, which formed around the same time as Earth. They have just been
Bruh, it's just
drifting
not
through space
going good.
until they entered the Earth's atmosphere.
Not going well.
A 2020 UNICEF report warns that 1 in 3 children globally, that's over 800 million children, have blood lead levels at or above 5 micrograms
1
per
in
deciliter.
3 children. That's half the people here have. Actually, no, that's literally a third. What am I talking about? 1 in 3. Duh. My gosh. So basically, what they're saying here, what they're trying to say is that you're dumb from lead poisoning. You're dumb. You're dumb. I'm smart. You're dumb. You're dumb. And you're dumb. Man,
A lot of
let's
this
go
lead
into all
now
of you
comes
guys,
from
huh?
batteries and industrial
Yikes.
processes, but some is still
Couldn't be me,
due
though.
to
Couldn't be
Midgley's
me.
invention.
Oh my god, that's
After
wow.
Midgley's success with ethyl, he was put in charge of another engineering project. GM wasn't just making cars, but also household appliances. And fridges had a problem. The 2 most common gases used as refrigerants were methyl formate and sulfur dioxide. One is highly toxic, the other is flammable. Midgley was tasked with creating a safer alternative.
Exactly.
And in 1928,
Everyone's
he
them
developed a
except for me,
non-toxic and
obviously.
non-flammable refrigerant, dichloro-difluoromethane. GM called this new product Freon. In the following decades, CFCs like Freon became very
CFCs.
popular and were used as solvents and aerosols.
So he also made CFCs, the things that were destroying our ozone layer. He also made those, bruh. This man, bruh. Imagine being this guy. Actually, don't. This is, yikes. How are people that dumb? This is the same guy that was inhaling lead, even though he knew it was bad. You really have to ask, how are people that dumb? Exactly.
To 100 years. The historian John McNeill wrote that Midgley had more impact on the atmosphere than any other single organism in
God.
Earth's history.
Imagine holding this title. Oh,
An agreement to phase out CFCs, the Montreal Protocol, went
big
into effect in 1989. And the ozone layer is now showing signs of recovery, although it'll take many more decades to fully recover. You will observe with concern how long a useful truth may be known and exist before it is generally received and practiced on.
that's fair. Everything's important until people forget, right? I was reminded of it recently about the whole net neutrality thing, and like the whole fight for it, and guess what? It's ended up happening, and no one talks about it anymore. You know, like it's, bro, that's also crazy, crazy.